I can't believe they actually put this scene in the show.
I don't see anything.
What do you mean?
You're not pregnant.
Help me, Elgin. I can save all of you.
This scene has to be one of the craziest in the entire show because people have been saying Fatima was the Kimono demon ever since we saw that thing trying to drown Elgin in the bathtub. So for them to actually put this in the show is... This is unbelievable, and it can't be a coincidence because it's in this same episode that they confirmed Fatima was never carrying a demon in her belly. So logically, that means she's been transforming into some sort of monster this entire time. And that, my friend, is absolutely...
It's like they're growing in poisoned soil.
It's human. At least it's got the exact same anatomy.
We know this is what's happening because Smiley's autopsy showed that the monsters have human-like anatomy. So what's going on with Fatima right now could not be any more clearer because the craziest thing about all of this is the entity poisoned the land so that Fatima would be able to feed herself and complete the transformation. It's also obviously not an accident that the monsters who ambushed the ambulance just coincidentally left the cop alive, who just happened to be the same person who shot the girl in Colony House that Fatima ended up sucking the guts out of to feed her demonic cravings. All of this was planned by the entity controlling the monsters because it needed Fatima to get the dead body, and it poisoned the land so that Fatima would have something to eat.
You're not pregnant. Sorry.
I don't need you to be sorry. There's something inside of me. I need you to find it.
You have no idea how lonely it is out here. It wasn't my choice to be this way.
What is happening here is absolutely insane because the writers had these monsters saying she did not choose to be this way. It's not a coincidence that the writers gave Fatima the same mirror scene that they gave to Jasmine the monster. They want us to see that there's clearly a connection between Fatima and the monsters. And even the nursery rhyme that Kenny hears on the phone literally says, "No one here is free." Like, it's not a coincidence that the monsters have human-like anatomy. There's so many hints that we've been given that they used to be human, like the fact that they literally have a human face. And we also know that they can't change that initial human face into another one because there's absolutely no scene in the entire show where they've ever done that. It's obviously not by accident. The signs that each of them used to be an individual human have always been there.
Did you see 3 red stones, big ones, in a circle?
You're not pregnant.
There's something inside of me. I need you to find it.
We've known that Fatima is carrying something very demonic in her body. That was obvious ever since we saw her drinking blood. But the thing here is that we have never seen these monsters specifically eating people at any time. All we know is that they torture people and break their bodies wide open. And we saw Fatima drinking blood out of a dead body like a vampire. So whatever she's turning into is not the same as these monsters we're used to seeing. And Jade just happening to have a vision of a pilgrim drinking blood out of a skull, and Tabitha literally having a vision of a child looking up to something in this same exact location. Like, they are telling us that this type of monster is going to be a big deal because literally both the pilgrim and Fatima are the only monsters we've ever seen drinking blood in this entire show.
The boy in white told me to gather things that were precious, to bury those instead. Why did they have this as your mother? They like to take things. Why?
Everyone's way too focused on Fatima not being pregnant that we are all ignoring the massive bombshells that we've been getting in the past few episodes. Victor specifically says that the boy told him, "Don't even worry about all the dead bodies, man. Just make sure that you get their prized possessions. Just make sure that you get their treasured items." And this is insane because the writers just casually revealed that the entity uses treasured items to make the monsters. And I know this for a fact 100% because what happened to Boyd when he was in the dungeon? he got infected by the music box. And what did we see at the very end of the season? It was the entity pathetically begging Boyd, please don't smash the box, please.
Please, destroying that box isn't going to end their suffering. None of this matters. We can be together.
The reason why the entity was so desperate to stop Boyd from breaking the music box is because the cicada monster, which was originally the worms, was made from that treasured object, the music box itself. And that's why when Boyd smashed the music box, all the cicada victims were immediately released. So what's going on with Fatima is the entity is using a treasured item, just like the music box was, that specifically belongs to Fatima to turn her into a monster. And it wants to make a monster immune to the talismans so that it doesn't need to make these elaborate strategies like freeing the livestock just to get to the people. And it could be the plan is to make Fatima some sort of hybrid that it can possess as a vessel.
Hey, I was looking for this screwdriver. My mom always kept a junk drawer in the kitchen.
I'm sorry.
It's not a big deal.
It's not a coincidence that the writers added this scene of Kenny looking for the screwdriver, but he could not find it. It's almost as if somebody took it. But who could that be? Is it the entity controlling Julie because she was one of the cicada victims? Or more likely, the screwdriver was taken by the monsters when Kenny's house was left completely wide open for an entire night. And in Colony House, where Fatima currently lives, that's also where Tilly is living in at this very moment. But so is Clara, so is Donna, so is Elgin, so is Victor. So are multiple characters who have been theorized to be the mole. And Marielle, she spent some time over in Colony House as well. And there's dozens of other people whose names we don't even know. So if the entity theoretically had a mole in Colony House, it would be very easy to steal dozens of people's treasured possessions, just like what probably happened to Fatima herself. Of course, there's the possibility that one of the monsters simply took it when they attacked Colony House, but that's boring. The Colony House basement also looks suspiciously similar to Martin's dungeon, that same place where we possibly saw a monster being created in real time. So who's to say there isn't a way to the dungeon dimension down in the basement of Colony House? Just like we saw Boyd going to the dungeon dimension by lighting the flame while standing on the ruins. That would be a very convenient ability for a mole to quickly pass information and treasured items to the entity himself, a being we've already seen multiple times in the dungeon dimension.
Kill me, but you leave her alone.
I'm not gonna kill you, Boyd. That would be no fun.
There's something inside of me. I need you to find it.
You think this place can't break you? Let's see.
Because we've seen her drinking people's blood, that means Fatima is turning into a monster probably stronger than the ones we're used to seeing, whether that's the Kimono demon or the pilgrim or something completely new. The fact that it was Boyd's son's wife who was chosen by the entity is obviously not a coincidence because we already know that the entity wants to break Boyd. So what we know for sure about what she's becoming is that she's meant to turn into a weapon that finally breaks Boyd.